Right, today is Monday, June 29th, 2020. This is the Kubernetes CSI implementation meeting. Our main topic for today is 119. We have code freeze coming up on Thursday, July 9th, which is in 2 weeks-ish. So let's go down our 119 project status. Let's see. First up, there is a PR outstanding for handling mounts, or I guess handling plugins that don't actually do a mount point, and just use a directory as their volume, or even a bind mount on the root file system. Those CSI plugins have problems when in certain cleanup paths today. So there is a PR out to fix that, because currently in the cleanup path for the pod object, we're checking if the directory is a mount point, and that check is failing for those. So yeah, this PR out is supposed to help fix that, and hopefully we can get that merged within the 119 time frame. Let's see. Next up, I have logic that is removing fallback code for the topology feature in the external provisioner to remove support for 113, since we no longer support that. At the same time, we're going to require that I think earlier there was a PR to switch over to use the CSI V1 CSI node object. So that also that's going to put a minimum Kubernetes version on 117 for the control plane, 115 for the nodes, so we can safely remove this now. That is going to go, or hopefully will go in. It's under review. I am also working on trying to fix the mock volume test flake. This is a test I'm trying to promote to the conformance suite, but there's one flake outstanding, which is related to this cleanup orphan volumes logic here. I think this one should fix the mock flake as well. Next up is storage capacity.
I think we've made some good progress. I updated the PR today. I left one comment about what you pointed out about the ownership of a reference to the storage class, which is currently by name, and that we identified that this might be a loophole where a storage class gets replaced by something that's entirely unrelated but has the same name. I didn't initially understand what Tim said with owner ref. My counter proposal is a bit simpler. If we just include the UID as a field inside the object itself, it has the same effect, and it might be a better API. But the also question is whether that's actually something that we need for alpha. But anyway, I updated the PR, and I have highlighted this as an open that we still need to discuss.
All right, awesome. I'll go ahead and sync up with Tim on that too.
Yeah. Next up, generic ephemeral inline volumes.
Patrick, you have 2 PRs on this one, right? Are there any more PRs pending, or just
no? Just the 2. So
okay.
my idea was that the API review should go in first with approval from an API reviewer, and then based on that, I would do a PR with the implementation. But then Tim pointed out that they don't want to merge an API unless the implementation is also ready. So that's why I also then went ahead and posted the implementation that I was doing in parallel and Michelle has reviewed the implementation part. Or also,
the implementation is that the scheduler change that is also entry, right? That one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I'm not listing it here. It is, but it is currently pending. If you go to the API review, I think it should be cross-linked or.
Yeah, are there? So after this merge, and then we need to do more PRs, the sidecars, the provisioner.
External provisioner. I've been working on that. I have the controller logic implemented. What's missing is the algorithm for identifying topology segments based on the node information, the labels on the nodes. I also have one observation that I can share here. I think the CAP we planned to use the CSI node objects. So external provisioner would watch those and not the node objects themselves. But when I started working on the implementation, I found that this can't work because the CSI node only has the keys. And if you want to know the corresponding full labels with key and value, you also need to look at the node object.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's the current situation. I wonder whether it would make sense to extend CSI node so that it has both information, because it is a per node object. It could easily have labels and values, but perhaps I'm missing a reason why it was done this way. Anyway, I'm not proposing to change it. It's just an observation. I'm going just to do an implementation based on watching CSI node and the normal node object so that I have a full set of information that is needed. But that's a room for improvement, I guess.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Generic ephemeral inner volumes. Unfortunately, Clayton has been missing in action, doing something else, and he has not come back to reviewing the API. There's not much that we can do on it at this point. The remaining to-dos, once I have API review, are fairly limited. So if I can get Clayton's opinion on the API and he's okay, then this should be ready for 119. But if he doesn't look at it, then I'm stuck.
Are there implementation parts of it, like the controllers?
I haven't posted that yet. I could if people want to look at it, but it's same work in progress as the other one. The API needs to be approved first, but I can post what I have if that's useful.
I just mean in terms of like making, just, checking if, we got any gotchas and stuff when we actually go and test it.
Yeah, no, I do have an implementation. I have tests. I think I even have end-to-end tests for this new feature, and that's all working.
Okay, cool.
It's really just these to do here. There are some known things that I ran into, like usability issue with a warning message when the PVC is not immediately available, which is the normal case. You get an error message. Kubectl output is still incomplete. Prints unknown type for the embedded volume source. Yeah, I think that's it. And pod notifications. Pod events are not implemented yet, but that's really just, yeah, not a whole lot of work.
I guess, I mean, I think that's fine. Maybe, Jan's not here, but I think we just, I guess, need to just keep on bugging Clayton for some time to take a look at this.
I plan to do that this week more intensively. I basically gave him a pause because I was also working on the storage capacity thing, but now with that almost done, I really would like to get back to generic ephemeral inner volumes.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for pushing on this. All right, next up is this save volume data recovery.
So no update from the PR author yet,
Okay.
actually. So we might have to take it and open it as another PR. I don't know. That's the.
Do you think this is important that we should get this into 119?
Yeah, I think it's quite important actually because. So, yeah,
Okay. I guess we can see.
I'll keep an eye on it for this weekend. If it doesn't happen, then by Wednesday or something, I'll open another PR.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. All right. Next up is image publishing. I think, are we just waiting for the domains flip?
I think we are just waiting for the domain flip. And there was another attempt beginning of this week to do the flip, and they pulled back or reverted it again because of some billing issue. And I think I've not
Okay.
seen an update on that topic since then. Something was promised, but I've not either I missed it or nothing has been posted. So we are still waiting.
Okay. I guess we can keep an eye on it. In the worst case, should we just use the real directory instead of the domain one, at least for now?
There's a
Um,
warning not to do that because it's kind of unofficial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know
The main thing
how stable
is because
it was. Yeah.
we had temporarily switched over all our CI to use the staging one, and those images are gonna get deleted after 90 days. So I want to switch to
I know.
something that's not gonna get deleted after 90 days, and all of our tests will start failing again.
Yeah, I know. I've seen that deadline. I think
Okay.
we're still away.
I guess
Yeah, we still have some time, I guess.
I would like to, yeah, I guess I would like to go, if we don't do the domain flip before code freeze, I would like to just switch it to the real name, at least before code freeze. All right. But otherwise, everything is working, right? The images are promoted.
I think they are. I don't remember whether I've done a full test using the new SIG storage repo, but yeah, it should work.
Are we
Okay.
ready to change all the images in our example YAMLs to use the new ones or not yet?
We are ready once Kubernetes is ready. The final name is is K8SGECRIO, the vanity domain, and that one currently doesn't point to the new locations, to the new registry.
Okay.
It points to some other registry where we don't have write access to. The promotion process for the current one is just different, and our new images aren't in that one.
Okay. Okay, so we
Yes.
already temporarily just still use the query until this is completely settled, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will go, I'll try to follow up with the folks working on the domain flip to see what the timeline or ETA is. Okay. All right, we are almost there at the finish line. So awesome work. We'll skip over Windows. Next up is Volume Health.
So yeah, so we got the basic mock driver that is merged, and then this guy also tested the Nix PR and found some bugs and fixed it. So I'm going to take another look and trying to get it merged. So and then after that, and then we'll add more tests and.
Okay. Awesome.
So I was wondering, is this a so I was checking, I didn't see this one in the quiz. That's a little weird because I thought we passed the CI on this one.
Which one?
This is the Warning House. I thought we have a CI. I thought probably temporarily should
Oh,
22 Quay, but I thought this morning checking, I don't see anything there. I was like, what?
You mean the image
The image,
pushing?
yeah, image. I need to check. I was wondering what happened. But I can take a look. I remember we passed the CI, but then of course there was some other follow-up work that's not done yet.
So
but,
we need to, if we want Quay to build the image, we need to enable it. Was it enabled?
Then maybe it's not. Yeah, I don't think I have done that.
Okay.
So probably not. So do we just want to wait for this new thing, or do we want to?
We can start using the Kubernetes staging. I think that's ready to go, right? So in order to use it, you just need to update the CSI release tools with all of the stuff that Patrick added, and then I think Patrick, maybe you can clarify the remaining steps, but we need to create a symlink to the cloud build YAML.
I think right now we actually right now cannot merge his, he has a PR updated his tools, but we actually have to merge Nick's PR first. There's some very basic things are not there, not in place. So, so right now, okay, so for now, maybe I will just temporarily just do some
like
temporary. Yeah, because
is it possible to split up Nick's PR to like just put the stuff that's needed to make it work?
Yeah, but then it's
to make
probably too much effort actually. I'd rather, because I think it's getting close. I'd rather just get his stuff merged instead of having him spend another week to split everything.
Okay. I mean, what changes are in the CSI release tools that would break without Nick's PR? Right
now, you can't really, I think it was, so because the proud.sh is not really there. And then for that, we will need all of those basic framework. Right now, there's nothing. It's basically empty, right? So you don't have anything to build, basically. That's the thing.
But that's fine, right? So like that. Oh, I see. That PR will fail because
he doesn't
there's
have
no
anything
file.
to build. I mean, instead, I don't want him to, I don't want to spend another week just to try to get him to split them out. I mean, I feel it's a little bit waste of time, and will tend to get more errors than this. I think I would just because I'm looking at this right now, and then try a few things, and then I want to try to get this one merged soon rather than having him split it. So right now probably we just we don't have the official image for now, but once this is merged, then we can get Patrick's PR, then we can try to update those.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Next is snapshots.
Yeah, so I talked to Karthik, who is working on the building the API client in a separate package. So I think we are going to just create one separate package, right, for put both API definitions and the client set, all the generic files under one package, right? We don't need two, right? Yeah, okay.
No.
So so basically we're going to have a folder called client directly under external snapshotter. Under that client folder, we'll have APIs, we'll have client set, lister, informers, and all of those. Is that okay?
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
Sure. Okay, I think so that's mainly so he's working on that. So that's the main thing. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. And then I think there's a PR out to add more E2E tests, I think.
Oh yeah, I think I lost track. I got some pin. Yeah, I don't know what that is anymore. I need to go check. So yeah, I need to see. Did he actually submit a PR or just? I see he updated an issue. I'm not sure if he actually submitted a PR. I'll go check.
There is a PR.
Okay,
in Kubernetes.
is the one under KK? Okay, I'll go check again. Is that Andy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll go check. I think I somehow saw it and then lost it. Yeah. Okay. I'll take a look.
Okay. Awesome. Sounds good. All right. Volume expansion.
Okay, so I haven't received review for recovery from resize PR from Saad actually, and I am going to open a PR for controller change today for the entry component. It'll be small, and then I'm updating my PR for the entry, the old PR that was targeting 118 for that updates the CSI spec com, compatibility in Kubernetes. So I'll have these two PRs by one PR, the resize controller change in the entry resize controller change today, but I need review from Sada and the other reviewers. So
Okay, I'll go ahead and ping him. Is it this one or is it something else?
this should be, let me, I updated this project today actually. Let me check. Okay. Handle recovery from resize. So that one, okay,
Okay.
the PR is not listed. I'll just list the PR. But basically that PR is good to go. I mean, I know that like I think I should I should get the controller changes ASAP, so I'll get that today. But it's the controller changes are not going to be that big.
Okay, sounds good. I'll go ahead and bug sod some more to get this reviewed.
Okay, thank you. And one more thing was like I reviewed that PR about like the volume in use thing, like making it optional in external resizer, and I've been thinking if it should be opt-in or opt-out. Right now, it's like the PR says, okay, you have to opt-in to return volume in use error. But I was thinking maybe it should be opt-out. Like you have to explicitly say, okay, I support online and I don't want this volume in use mechanism.
I think it depends on what we think is more common. And also, theoretically, it's like changing behavior
Mm,
for existing volumes.
so the most common is definitely like online is most common, but at the same time, it doesn't is but at the same time it's like the more accurate thing is to always check for if driver returns volume in user error, then don't call. So that's the what I was thinking. And
Hey, so I think I pretty didn't follow this one. So why do we have to make this optional? Is there somebody complaining about this?
the idea,
Yeah, so it requires watching pods, listing pods, which can be very expensive.
Okay.
So for plugins that don't need it, I think we can do without it.
yeah, that's that, but at the same, but we can talk offline in the PR. But the problem is like it should be like the right thing to do is obviously respect volume in use error, and even if the plugin does not need it, but it,
Okay, I can buy that argument. Yeah, it's just that plugins that want it will need to, before they upgrade to this thing, they'll have to upgrade and disable or add the flag, which is fine.
the only plugins that will have to disable the flag is like which were returning volume in user. So for most plugins, it will not matter. It's just that RBAC policy is the one that they have to update. Okay,
Yes.
so the blocker is or RBAC policies, or if it becomes a performance concern, to have a pod informer that watches all pods.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with reversing it. If we had a 1.0 of this, then it would be considered, adding the RBAC rule would be considered a breaking change.
So that's what I have it documented here in the this thing that when we cut the release, we'll have to cut this, change the major version bump actually, because it's not
Well,
strictly that.
we're not at a 1.0 yet, right?
Yeah, that's true actually. I
So
think you're
there's
right.
theoretically we can be breaking breaking everything all we want.
Hmm. Yeah, we're not at 1.50, so the last one. So yeah. But we have to bump the points. Yeah, okay.
Yes. Okay, that's fine. Anything else with expansion?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. And then we have the CSI driver work.
Yeah, there haven't been any updates since Wednesday. I still need to get a review. I spoke to Jan on Friday, and he mentioned that he was not going to have time to do the API review. So I need to bug people.
Okay, so Jan can't review it?
Not as of last Friday.
Okay. Then I guess I can take a look at it if you want to assign me on it.
Okay, I will do that.
All right. Okay, so that's for it for the project board. Let's see, PRs that need attention. Let's see, Patrick, you have this change out.
I added that. It's basically in preparation for storage capacity tracking in external provisioner, because I need the new APIs. I also need this lib to be compatible with the new client Go API. That's what this PR is actually about. Updating the dependencies, making the necessary code changes. And while we discussed that, we figured that it would be a good time to, as we are kind of breaking the API, to actually make address some long-standing to-dos in the API of a library where it currently doesn't properly use context, and add that. And instead, this PR adds that to the functions, to the API functions in the lib itself. I think it's ready. I just need to get a final approval.
Okay, sounds good.
Then the next step would be to do a release. I'd like to point out that this was an example where just bumping the dependencies wouldn't necessarily have forced us to change the API. But we were discussing at the past whether that is now a reason to do a new major version. This is not a good example because we are breaking the API, and therefore a new major version number is justified. But I think my conclusion from the whole affair is that at this point, updating dependencies with an unstable versioning scheme probably isn't worth a major version bump, because you don't get anything from it. It doesn't help the users. A warning in the release notes is probably okay, but if it's an obvious breaks, like things will stop to compile, you don't even need release notes. Or you need release notes, but people will notice when trying to use it. So therefore, my argument stands that a major version bump isn't needed in this case.
Okay. I mean, theoretically, if everything uses Go modules and follows semantic versioning, then
then it's useful, but not required. In that case, you can just bump your dependencies to a newer version, major version of your dependencies, and if your code that consumes your library doesn't do the same, they just get an old copy. And
yeah,
you have two instances of that module in the final executable, but that's fine. That's actually the whole point of major version numbers in Go modules. So it's not an API break if you update your dependencies, and that's the caveat, and you don't have those types in your own API. But if you once you have that, then it is an API change, because your API changes because it depends on those types. But that's a slightly different situation than just updating a dependency that's used internally.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay. It looks like Matt has been decently responsive on this. We can ping him if we need him to review. Hamant, do you know, is Jan out for this week?
No, he's there. He just might have.
Okay.
It just would have got too late today in Czech Republic.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Um, All right, next up is ephemeral volumes.
Yeah, we talked about that. That's fine. The
Okay.
other is something that you already reviewed, but I think we need someone, an API reviewer, to approve it because it is test code for the API server, and that has been pending for a while. But if I get Clayton's attention, perhaps I'll just remind him of that one too, and we can get it merged.
Okay, sounds good. All right, under miscellaneous topics, Patrick, you have
Yeah.
another discussion?
I want to raise awareness that we are discussing again how to handle CSI release tools. There was one PR for CSI driver SMB where someone was using Git subtree, but with the squash option that is supported. The result is that you always get one full commit in your history by whoever imports the subtree, and you don't get the original commits, which, depending on what you are looking for, is good or bad. If you want to know what you are actually importing in the pull request, I find it useful to see the commits listed. And it's also useful if you could do something like git log or try to come up with a nice commit message for a pull request. So I'm not a fan of squashing. The other approach that we raised again is using Git submodules. That has been an option in the past. I just didn't use it because I wasn't entirely sure, and I don't remember whether I've ever tested it. If you do a git checkout, the release tools directory will be missing unless you check out with submodules. Git clone has an option to do recursive checkouts, but I don't think it's the default, or at least it wasn't the default a while back. I don't know what's the current state with current Git tools. And the more important question for that's the usability issue for developers. They need to remember to do a checkout and also an update. If they check out just the master branch and then don't update the submodule, they still don't have this consistent state. So there are some gotchas for people who are trying to work with a repository. The other big gotcha is if we work with a CI system that doesn't do submodule checkouts, because then, say, Travis CI checks out and it doesn't have a Travis YAML file. I don't know whether that would have been a problem. And I also don't know whether it is a problem with Brow, but that is something that we could test. The question really is for everyone working with some of the Kubernetes CSI repos, what is it that you are expecting? Are you now so used to git clone, git update that you would be surprised if there was a submodule involved? Or
Yeah, I think for me, like, I just use one command to sync up the whole repo, and sort of expect everything to be there.
yeah, that partly was my motivation to use subtrees because that just works. The question then is, should we switch to squashing? If people don't care about seeing the whole commits and they cause more problems than they are worth the hassle, then yeah, we can switch to squashing. But if there are other people who prefer seeing what's going on, what they are currently having in their repo, then perhaps we shouldn't be using squashing. That's why I'm raising the topic here to get more opinions.
Yeah, at least for me, like, I prefer squashing because it's right now really hard to be able to like easily distinguish what changes came from the subtree versus what changes came in the main sidecar code. So like if I am just sort of, when I'm compiling release notes for external provisioner or something, and I just want to double check all the commits and make sure I didn't miss a commit, it's really hard to read through all the commits because probably 95% of the commits are from release tools and the 5% is from the actual provisioner.
Okay, I see your point, but then let me also point out that if there was a change in the CSI release tools that you need to include in your release notes, then you might not see those changes unless that one commit that does the squashing is really good and describes exactly what it is importing.
Do
Which
we
then,
have changes in CSI release tools that need to be in the
image publishing, for example, that would be my latest example where that's probably worth mentioning, that by updating CSI release tools, the next release also is under that new location.
Then would it be worth when someone updates the release tools, they also make sure to add the release note at the same time?
Yeah, and I currently have been doing that automatically. So I do.
Because I think
I do not put my script that currently creates those PRs. I'm careful to have commits listed, but I'm not typically drafting up a release node that goes into the PR.
Yeah, because we've been trying to mostly use the release notes tool to generate our release notes. So like even today with the subtree, like we see those as the release notes tool wouldn't pick those up anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so it boils down then if we do squashing, someone needs to update that script, but because that's a practical issue. If the way how I currently prepare the CSI release tools updates, that's all scripted, and I just can't do that manually or the script can't work anymore if we do squashing. It probably can be fixed, but someone needs to do that.
All right. Can the person who's working on this for the SMB repo take care of that?
He kind of volunteered, but I think we must just may have to encourage him again. And the other thing is, I also kind of asked him whether Git submodules would be worthwhile. We'll probably need to just summarize our today's discussion and say that we want to go for subtree with squashing. Can you update the script? Something like that. I did mention the script, so he's aware of the issue.
All right, sounds good. Does anyone else on the line have any objections or concerns? I know, Xing, you also handle releasing Snapshotter a lot, so.
Yeah, I think I see both ways. I mean, if you're squashing it, what if you missed something that is hard to find? Whether, since it's all squash, you can't even see what is missing, right? That would be one concern I have. But of course, there are a lot of small commits. When you write the release notes, it's a little challenging to figure out which one that you need to add. So I can see both ways.
I guess if we update the script, like if we update the script to update the subtree, like we should always we should be able to trust that like we're gonna collect all of the commits up to the commit that is listed.
Well, it's not just that it needs to be correct; it also needs to be informative. So what I currently do, I list the commit numbers, and GitHub then in the commit message and in the pull request description has a list of commits, and you can click on each one and get to see what that commit was about. So it's very visible what you are changing. Also in the metadata. I guess my requirement would be that the script, once it does squashing, provides the same level of information.
Okay.
But you still see in the pull request which commits you're pulling in, and then you can make the call on the pull request whether you have to have a manually written release note in the pull request itself for the repo.
Okay, that sounds good. I think as long as the description has like the list of all the commits, I think that should be good in terms of for us to if we need to debug something. All right. So we are a little over time. Are there any other topics? Okay, well, end for today. Thanks.
Thank you.